Hello, hello, Anar here, your friendly mindset mentor and coach, coming to you live on Facebook on day 4 of creating your self-identity, a self-identity that you will love, respect, and sustain no matter what phase of life that you're going to be in. So far we've talked about introspection, body image, and acceptance and ownership of who you are and what you're about to become. And these were building blocks of what it is that you want for your future. Having said that, this is not an easy journey. We've talked about this. This is going to be a journey that's going to take you into the uncomfortable corners of your mind and take you through some self recognition, right? Of what you have allowed into your life, how you're going to set yourself free from all of it, as well as take all your experiences and use them as the foundation for who you're about to become. Um, as I've mentioned before, anything that I have worked through, everything that I'm sharing with you are all my tools and processes that I have created through trial and error. And I'll tell you something super funny about myself. So, I constantly talk about hiring on a coach and having a mentor in your life. And a little known fact, or a lesser known fact about me for you guys is, I myself have a coach. I have somebody who guides me, who mentors me, and that helps propel my growth forward much faster. I can tell you, there was a time in my life where I used to think to myself, oh my gosh, I can do it all on my own. There's so many resources available on the internet. I'm just going to do a deep dive and a research on my own, and I'm just going to make it happen, right? And I did. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely did. But it took me so long to get to where I want to go that it was just frustrating and it was disheartening to really keep going through the same process over and over and over again without any solutions. And the reason I'm sharing with you guys that I myself have a coach is because I've said this before, we all need somebody to help mold who we are, what we are, and take all of that and help us to create something of ourselves in our future mind, right? And I always say this, what you perceive is what you receive. And so our call yesterday was very interesting. My call with my coach yesterday wasn't anything about growth. It wasn't about teach me this or teach me that. However, what it was about was a self evaluation. I asked her to share with me her assessment of my growth. Hear me again. I asked her to share her assessment of my growth. How how have I grown, and um, what have I accomplished so far? Excuse me, guys, just a moment. I'm just going to respond to my partner in crime. She's calling me. She's forgotten that this is my time to go live. And so she's calling me. But she is my partner in crime. So um, if she's available, I would love to have her on one day and just have a chat with her about what her contribution to my life has been, to the culmination of this company has been, and how she has transformed the process, not only for me but for you guys as well moving forward. So anyway, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started today. I pretty much say the same stuff over and over again. So I hope that this repetition has started to really seep into your brain, practice makes perfect, right? And so we will continue to repeat the same information and the same processes and until it becomes second nature for you. So today we'll do a little different. I'll talk a little bit about myself later on in this call. We'll go ahead and get started with the rules of engagement and the things that I want you guys to really understand about your mindset. So bear with me. Let's go ahead and get started. As I've said before, I'm big on rules of engagement. I'm a very structured person, so I like to, not that I don't do well with, fly by the seat of my pants. I do great actually when it comes to fly by the seat of my pants. However, let me tell you my secret on flying by the seat of my pants. My secret to flying by the seat of my pants is I am always prepared for everything, which then helps me to be able to pivot whenever I need myself to pivot. Hear this again. I'm always ready for everything, so it helps me to pivot whenever I'm needing to pivot. And when of course, as a parent, most of us do that, right? But the practice that really made me really, really good at this is when I was working as a nurse. You always have to be prepared for emergencies. And so when it was quiet time, which rarely happened, I would actually run emergency scenarios in my head. And this was just my nursing practice. This wasn't like, oh, let me do this so that this is going to help me in the future. In the moment, it was really just my nursing practice. And so I would run emergency scenarios in my head, which would then help me to be mentally prepared for any emergencies that came along. And I got so good at running those emergency scenarios in my head, I started to do that with almost everything else in my life. And what that did for me is I mentally was always prepared for something. What that did for me was my muscle memory was so refined that even when life threw me for a loop, I didn't get thrown off for a loop for too long and for too much, right? Yeah, I would fall off the rails and then be able to bring myself right back on, just as again is human experience. So what I would say to you guys is, be prepared for anything that might come your way, even if you don't necessarily end up using it. So this is why I bring rules for engagement, because you'll want to be mentally prepared for what it is, but not, be so neurotic that that's what you live by. Always be prepared to pivot, because you can't control everything. But if you run a few scenarios in your head, then you're prepared. If not plan A, then plan B. And if not plan B, then plan C to get to where you want to go. Okay? So here are my rules for engagement. Be present. And I say please be present, because this is something that you're doing for yourself. I'm on here an hour, once a week. Excuse me. I'm here for an hour once a week. And that's what I'm investing in you guys. When you take what I'm sharing with you and continue to work on it and continue to practice, then you're benefiting yourself the other 167 hours in the week. So always please be present. The next thing that I always ask people to do is invite everyone whom you believe will benefit from this information as well, because sharing is caring. The ripple effects are exponential. And while you may not have a need to hear what I have to share, someone else might. And if I can help transform one life, my life's purpose will have been fulfilled. Um, Make sure to watch the live and or the replays in a sequential order as this material builds on itself. And I've been saying this over and over again for the last few times that I've come on live and talked about this. And the reason I say that is it really does build on itself, because you'll refer back to introspection, to body image, to acceptance of yourself. And then when we talk about mindset, that's all going to bring it all together for you to then continue to build on your future self. A fun fact about myself for this week, my agenda is I am going to be refreshing all of my goals. So I'm going to go back and take a look at what those goals are and reflect back on my strengths and opportunities for growth and how I can build on that. Try your best to remove any and all distractions from your way. I cannot stress that enough. I have a little 15-pounder that walks in and out of my office. He constantly wants attention. So, I've learned to work him through within my work. There are times when he sits on my chair. There are times when he is all over the place. You work with what you've got, but do your best to remove any and all distractions from your um, from your purview, so that you're able to just stay here. And it looks to me like my tech is having an issue. Therefore, I'm trying to see how I can fix it while I'm talking. And I apologize. I'm doing this and I'm not very tech savvy. There we go. I think I've got it. Here we go. Okay. And see, this was my distraction for today, is my tech issues. Engage with feedback, comments, and questions in the comment section below. And, I want to hear back from you guys. What would you like to hear more of? What would you like to, engage with, learn? Anything it is, if I've got the knowledge, I will absolutely either impart it upon you, or I will take you in a direction where you are able to gain that knowledge from someone else. I'm not about holding on to people. If I don't have something to give you, I will find somebody who does. Register for the remaining of the events if you haven't done so already. There's a link up top where it says events. You'll click on that and click on creating an identity and be able to register for those events. Bring an open mind. Not everything I say is going to resonate with you, and you'll hear more about that a little bit later during rules of engagement. But bring an open mind. Try to learn something new. Take notes. If you're anything like me, I'm huge on taking notes. So I say take notes and jot it down. It's all about muscle memory. So we'll talk about that at some point during this as well. Click on the comments. Click on the links in the comment section titled feedback, as I want to hear your thoughts. If you're somebody who does not like to put your words out in the open, that's okay. You can send me a private message. You can click on the link that says feedback and be able to share your thoughts with me as well. I want to hear from you, so feel free to do so. Be kind and compassionate to yourself. Not only do I talk about this during the during the learning session, I also have made it one of my standards to be kind and compassionate to myself. And the reason I say be kind and compassionate to yourself is it all starts with me. It all starts with you. So if you are someone who is highly judgmental and critical of yourself, please stop doing so. Extend yourself the same level of love, kindness, and compassion that you give to your children, to your parents, to your significant other, to your friends, you deserve the same. Okay? um, and you know, be patient with yourself. We are carving out a journey, and we're going to take our steps very meticulously to get you to where you want to go, and to continue to follow the same process every single time for every single thing that you do. Be honest with yourself. This is also a really big one for me. Be honest with yourself. If you aren't comfortable sharing that honesty with anybody else, that's okay. But tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth. You're doing this only for yourself and no one else, so keep that in mind. Okay? Be positive, be transformative, be impactful within yourself, because this is a ripple effect that's not only going to impact your life, but also the lives of everyone that you come across. Attach yourself to what resonates and let go of what doesn't. Not everything I say will work for you. Not everything I do will work for you. However, remember I said keep an open mind. So you take what I teach you and you make it to acclimate to you. You make it to fit you. And then you go from there. Okay? I need you to understand that we are all unique individuals, and I honor that individuality and uniqueness that you hold within you, and I want to take that and mold it into an unstoppable, powerful being. So I highly encourage you to listen to what I have to say, work with me, and make it your own. I hear and listen to everything that everyone says to me, and then create what works for me. And of course, you know, I'm always talking about we'll do that. You know, as I'm even talking with you guys, I get ideas and I say, well, we'll talk about that at a later time, and we certainly will. But with respect to your time, I do want to go ahead and get started. This is actually a very lengthy session, just because it is about your mindset, just because it is about who you are about to become and what you're going to need for that. What tools are you going to need for that? First, we had to do an inventory of everything that we are and jot it down on paper, and, you know, acknowledge that this is what we have in front of us. And now that we've done that inventory, what do we need to do in order for us to grow into the person that we envision for ourselves? So, of course, today's title is mindset. And everyone has their own way of approaching their own identity. Mine is that of my mindset. And if you've heard what I've talked about before, you've heard me say what you perceive is what you receive. So if that's the case, whatever is in your mind is what's going to manifest in real time in your life. I will repeat that. What you perceive is what you receive. And if that is true, what you perceive is what you receive. If that is true, whatever is in your mind, whatever your understanding of something is, that is what's going to manifest into your life. Having said that, let me talk to you first a little bit about let me talk to you a little bit about the benefits of having a solid mindset. So, as we talked about minimizing distractions, I'm actually running into a ton of distractions today. I don't know if you're catching all the different conversations that are happening outside the four walls of my office. So, I just texted them to cut it out because I want to minimize my distractions. I want to minimize your distractions because you'll be able to hear what I'm hearing, right? Um, and so I apologize for those distractions, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, when we talk about mindset, from my perspective, there are 13 zones to the mindset domain. And here are the important facts to keep in mind about a mindset that is going to be your sustainability. Okay? You are going to become more self aware. When you have successfully accomplished introspection, body image, and acceptance and ownership of yourself, you are already at that self awareness stage. You know who you are, and you accept and love yourself exactly the way that you are. We start with that. And when you are at that solid point, I love me, I respect me, I honor me, you've already become self aware. And now that you've become self aware, you can stand tall for yourself. Now that you have already become self aware, you can stand tall for yourself. So, I'll tell you a funny story about myself. When I started off on my journey about 2019, I had gone to a women's retreat that was, that was about spiritual alignment and being grounded and feeling connected. And I, quite honestly, I wasn't sure what it was all about, but I wanted to go out and explore because I had started my journey. Excuse me. Having said that, there is a practice called muscle testing. Okay. And so what you do in this muscle testing is you stand up, you close your eyes, you clear your mind, and then you repeat whatever your facilitator is saying. And if the answer to that statement is yes, then you lean forward. If the answer is no, you lean backwards. And if the answer is neutral, then you stand neutral. Okay? So we went through this practice and we went through this exercise, and we're standing in a circle of women. And, at the very end, one of the statements was, I love me. Right now, mind you, you are in a completely, clear meditative state. So you're not even hearing anything. You hear the statement, I love me, and then you're supposed to repeat it back to yourself. And either your body will do one of three things: either lean forward, stand still, or lean back. Simple. So the facilitator said, I love me. So we were to repeat, I love me, right? And as I finished saying, I love me, of course, without knowing or trying, my body leaned forward, affirming that I love me, saying, yes, I love me. And when we were finished with the exercise, the facilitator came up to me and said, you were the only one in that group that leaned forward. And that goes to say, I love me. I do love me. That's why I stand up for myself. That's why I stand up for my loved ones. Because I come from a place of love. I come from a place of love. I love me. And so even when sometimes I forget that, there's something in my body that always knows that I love me. And so it'll keep nagging at me to figure out what is going on and to figure out how to get back to that love. And my intention here is to get each one of you to that same place. Could you imagine subconsciously leaning forward every time you say, I love me? Could you imagine subconsciously affirming the statement, I love me? I'm gonna leave that thought right there. The next one, when you have a solid, sustainable mindset, you are going to have the ability to accept and love yourself as you are, as well as become motivated to continually grow. I'm the type of person that is continuously growing. I keep going. Once I learn one thing, I'm ready to learn the next. Once I learn the next thing, I'm ready to learn the next. And that's what I'm doing even now here in my journey with being your mindset mentor and coach, is that while I am teaching you, while I am coaching you, while I am mentoring you, I'm also doing the same for myself. You are most definitely going to have an ability for improved decision making. And you're going to be able to stand and support behind your own decisions, whatever it is you decide to do. X is what I have decided to do, and that's what I'm standing by. I don't care what happens, right? For example, when I decided to leave my abusive relationship, I made that decision. So one night after an abusive moment, I happened to look over at my kids, and I thought to myself, I have a daughter and a son, and I thought to myself, what would happen if someone did this to my daughter? And what would happen, and even scarier thought, what would happen if my son did this to someone? I didn't bring them into this world so that somebody could destroy them, or they could be the destroyer of somebody else's entire being. I didn't. That's not why I brought them into this world. And when those thoughts came into my mind, to be very honest with you, when those thoughts came into my mind, that was my decision day. That was my decision day. So imagine how strongly I felt about that moment. It no longer mattered what was going to happen after that. I was done with dealing with all of that. You'll become more authentic, right? You will also experience an automatic decline in stress and anxiety, because you'll just know, right? And you'll be able to flourish. So anyway, so we will jump right into what is mindfulness and how do we practice it. Mindfulness is the ability of your mind to bridge the gap between your intuition and your logic and create something for yourself that you can stand behind. To me, that's mindfulness. Mindfulness is not prayers, and mindfulness is not practicing, meditating, and mindfulness is not, uh, you know, healing to some higher being 100 times a day. That is faith. Mindfulness is the ability of your mind to bridge the gap between logic and intuition. And that's it. And having enough self awareness to know that what you see, think, feel, and believe is all you need. We are not working in different silos here. We are all a collective group. And so we need to be able to stand tall in our individuality, in our uniqueness, in our emotions, in our decision making process. And here is how we do it. So remember how I said mindfulness is not religious practices, it's not meditating. Those are all tools to become mindful. And the first one is practicing mindfulness by meditating. So before I dive into the practice of meditation, let me tell you my take on meditation. Meditation is a personal practice. And I come from a religion where meditation is almost mandatory. And everyone will tell you how to do it, what to do it, how to practice it. And I listened. And none of it worked for me. None of it worked for me. Because my mind runs 1,000 miles a minute, none of it worked for me. Having said that, I spent the last 5 years trying different meditation practices to see what would and wouldn't work for me. And I can tell you 95% of the things didn't work for me. Are you someone who's like that? 95% of the things didn't work for me. And so I had to come up with my own meditation practice that helps me to rapidly get into that headspace where I'm able to think, see, feel, align clearly. It helps me to get a 360 view of everything. And so if you're interested, I want you to comment below, and it would be my honor to share my meditation practice with you. And here are some of my tips on how to practice meditation. Identify a best time for yourself. This must be something that is uninterrupted, something that you're able to do without feeling guilty. Because I used to feel guilty all the time when I used to take time out for myself. Make sure that you are you are comfortable. So comfortable clothes, comfortable places, comfortable positions. You don't have to follow any type of norm. Use your breath as your barometer and pace yourself. Okay? Pay attention to the thoughts that cross your mind, but don't dwell on them. I used to get fleeting thoughts all the time, and I would start dwelling on them, and then I would get distracted. Having said that, let them cross your mind. Don't stop them from coming, but also don't get stuck on them. And then use as many of your senses as possible. And for myself, it's 5 plus 1. Sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste, and a little known sense called vision. And make a habit out of it. Practice it daily. Start with 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then continue to build on it. Okay? The next one, and I'm looking at the time, so I'm going to kind of move through it. Excuse me. The next one is practicing mindfulness by journaling. And by far, this is my second favorite practice. Meditation has now become my first, journaling my second. Therefore, I'm talking to you guys about it. Choose something that is beautiful to you and makes your heart joyful and you're attracted to it. However, do not use this as a vision board. And I've talked about this before. Don't use your journal as your vision board. Journal in privacy. That's really big for me. I journal in privacy. This will allow you to focus on what you are doing, and it will allow you to flow. And you'll see what I'm talking about. When you start doing it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Give yourself the uninterrupted time that you need to flow. Do it at the same time daily and make it part of your day. I talked about muscle memory all the time, and this is just it. When you do things at the same time every single day, then your body will automatically know to be prepared. Leave behind the pressure of journaling and just write whatever comes to your mind. So I'll use myself as an example. The very first time that I started journaling, because I wanted to learn something new, my first sentence in my first day of the first page of journaling, I said, I don't know what to write, but here I am. Literally. And even now, many times I will say to myself, I don't know what to write, but here I am. So it's okay to not know what to write. And don't be afraid of being honest. I'm brutally honest with myself. Brutally honest with myself. Sharing one of my lines from my journal, one time I wrote is, I am currently feeling withdrawal of emotions. One half of everything I loved had moved away from me. I am currently feeling a withdrawal of emotions because one half of everything that I have always loved has moved away from me. And don't be afraid to experiment. Be open to trying new and different ways. Even if you have been journaling for years, try something new. Use prompts or stream of consciousness of writing. Try many different things to see what works best for you. Go back and read and reflect. I didn't know to do this until one day I was called to just go back and read and admire my work. It's okay to go back and read what you've written, and you should. The third zone in mindset is practicing soul searching. Soul searching has many definitions, many processes, and this is mine. So here's how I soul search. Be open and receptive to quiet and silence. A lot of people become really uncomfortable with quiet and silence, and here's my take on it. I enjoy quiet. I enjoy silence. I enjoy my alone time. And a lot of people close to me have heard me say this. I enjoy my alone time. And in fact, I get a little irritated now when I don't get it. So that's what it is. This is when your soul will speak to you. My soul speaks to me when I am by myself on my own. Although your soul always speaks to you, but when there is silence, you are able to listen. Your soul is always speaking to you, guiding you, coaching you, mentoring you. But when you are in complete silence, you are able to listen. So here's a little prompt I wrote to be able to share with you guys. I am blessed to be living in a community with a lake. This is this is me talking about my home. Anytime I need intense guidance, I go out to the lake, take my shoes off, stand with my feet, my bare feet to the grass and the ground. While I can listen to my soul no matter where I am currently, I didn't start out this way. I started with my feet to the ground, and now I use this practice for returning and realignment. Actually, retuning and realignment. My handwriting is really bad. The third practice in soul searching is pay attention to your mental health. Mental health is such a hugely dismissed, however, hugely important factor in our life. The fourth step in this zone is be patient with yourself. And we're always talking about being patient with ourselves. Forgive yourself for the things that didn't go well. How many times have you thought to yourself, man, I wish that had gone differently? How many times have you thought to yourself, I wish I didn't do that? And I'm here to tell you, it's okay that it happened. I'm here to tell you that it's okay that things didn't go as planned. I promise you, it's okay. It's a learning opportunity, not a failure. Allow yourself to pause. I pause quite often during these live events. Allow yourself to pause. Do a thorough evaluation of your current life situation and be honest. I am brutally honest with myself. Hence, when I started the call, I said, a fun fact about myself was I plan to reevaluate my goals and recalibrate and touch base. You should always be doing a current life evaluation. I do it on a monthly. My life evaluation I do on a monthly basis. Where am I right now? What went well? What didn't go well? What could have gone differently? And how will I retune, realign, recalibrate, and get back to it? The next zone in this domain is to keep in mind practice makes perfect. Don't do it once and it didn't work, and so I'm not going to do it again. Don't do that. Do it once, it won't work, and you'll have to come back and do it again. And again, and again, and again, and again. And here I am on my live events. When I started my journey, being that now we're in such a such a dense social media platform trend, that I had to learn to come on to a screen, onto a camera, put on a mic, and I had to learn to put myself here. And oh my God, I was nervous. And I'm not a nervous wreck for anything in my life. And I was terrified to the point where my back would start sweating. Yet I didn't give up. I kept trying and trying and trying and trying. And here I am, and I'm still trying, and I'm learning. The last 2-3 times I've had tech issues, and I just roll with it. I jotted down the things that didn't work and jotted down the things that worked. And next time I'll, follow through on that. Practice makes perfect. And here are some things that you're going to follow up on. The more you do through trial and error, the more you will find ways of things that work versus things that don't work. Once you figure out what works and what doesn't work, Do more of what works and let go of what doesn't. And I've just mentioned that. Continue doing it until you no longer have to try or make an effort. And then keep adding on to the process and keep doing it. Just because you've perfected it doesn't mean that you stop doing it. You must continue to follow through on the process. The next zone, and I'll do my best to go through these. We've only got about 14 and a half minutes left. The next zone in this domain of mindset is aim for the journey rather than the destination. And here's how you're going to do it. Make a conscious decision to enjoy every step that you take and everything that comes along with it, even the hard stuff. This is about your mindset and lifestyle rather than resistance. Don't resist things. Don't fight against things. Accept them as they are so that you can learn from them. Tell yourself this is something you get to do rather than have to do. And if you haven't heard me talk about it, I'll give a quick brief. One of the hardest things that I've done in my life is raise 2 children on my own. That is one of the hardest things that I've done in my life. And rather than thinking about it in terms of I have to raise my children, I tell myself I get to do it with pleasure. I have never thought about raising my children as something I have to do. I have always consciously just thought of it as something I get to do. And it made the journey that much easier because I enjoyed my process. I learned from it. And if you're anything like me, or if you've seen any experiences like mine in life, you know what I'm talking about. When you get to do something, you enjoy it. When you have to do something, you dread it. And it becomes that much harder. And so I made the process very easy. I got to do it and I got to enjoy it. And now I look at my kids and I'm just in awe of them. So tell yourself that you get to do it, not have to do it. Set small expectations for big results, goals, and desires. And we do a deep dive into this in our workshops and coaching sessions that I'm about to talk about. Become comfortable taking risks. And I always tell my kids this, become comfortable taking risks because either you'll win or you'll learn. Thomas Edison and the light bulb, right? The next zone that we are going to talk about in this journey, and I should be able to, talk to you guys about all the things that I aim to talk about today. The next zone in this domain is surround yourself with people who are a positive influence. Gosh, weigh out the negative Nancys, man. Just weigh them out. And I hope you can hear my puppy in the background. There he is. Yes, buddy. Come here. Come here. These are the people who are not only in support of you, but also challenge you to a better self. You also will need to focus on your mindset because you get what you give. You get what you give. So if you look at somebody, a stranger walking down the street, and you just walk past them, they'll walk past you. If you look up and you smile at them, they'll smile back at you. Now, you got to make sure you're safe. Don't risk your safety for anything in life. But if you smile at them, they'll smile at you. If you walk past them, they'll walk past you. It's a very simple answer to that. Be the change that you seek in this world. And you've heard me say it, and you've heard so many people just say it over and over and over again. Be the change that you seek in this world. And it's become such a cliche and such a redundancy. But it's so true. And I can't even explain, like, as much as I will talk about it, the depth of it you can only experience when you actually try it. So, again, using myself as an example, I'll use my gym experience as an example. There was a time in my life, when in the last 2 years, where going to the gym was so mechanical. I would just go to the gym, do my workout, get out. That was my intention. And that's what I used to do. No socializing, no looking at anybody, no smiling, no talking to anybody, nothing. Right? And then one day I just decided, I'm going to let down my personality. I'm going to smile at people. I'm going to say hello. If it's somebody I know, how are you doing? What you've been up to? Recently I met somebody who injured her knee. And every time I see her, how's that knee feeling? Simple compassion. And when I smile at her, she smiles back at me. And it feels good. It feels nice. It uplifts my mood and her mood. So keeping in mind, what you give out is what you get back in return. The next thing to keep in mind in this zone is make a list of qualities of the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. I'm going to let that one sit for a minute. Make a list of the characteristics / qualities of the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with. Once you make that list, become everything on that list. You will automatically attract the right kind of people. Be open to meeting new people. I have found that when I go to every time I go to a networking event, I make a new friend. I've found that. And some of them have become my greatest, closest friends. Simply by going to a networking event. Take responsibilities for your relationships. And I always say this, it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. Having said that, what is your contribution? And I've talked about that before. And the last, in this zone of surrounding yourself with people who are a positive influence, be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Be good to yourself. And you might think to yourself, what is she talking about? Like, what do you mean good to myself? Like, what? I'm always good to myself. I take great care of myself. I dress well. I speak well. All of that is great. Do you advocate for yourself? Do you talk negatively to yourself? Do you tear yourself down? Are you your greatest critic? I bet you I could show you ways in which you are not good to yourself. And that's a hard pill to swallow, and you may never want to listen to me again, and that's okay. But, like my mom always says to me, well, I'm only saying this for your own good. And it drives me up the wall when she says that to me. But guess what? A lot of times she's saying it for my own good. I don't eat well. She knows that. There are times when I will forget to eat or I'll eat junk food. Excuse me. And she'll come right downstairs and she'll be like, you're eating junk food again. This is why you're not feeling well. It's as simple as that. I bet I can show you ways in which you are not good to yourself. And I want to be your champion in changing that. Okay? The very last zone, I mean, there's a whole lot more, but for the duration of today, the very last zone that I want to talk about in this domain is become aware of who you are. Now, we've already done 3 days of exercise on this, on becoming aware of who you are, accepting who you are, owning who you are. But dig deeper. Dig all the way down to the core of the earth, because that's where the light lays. Oh, I love this. That's where the light lays. This zone is a combination of everything that we have talked about this far, and here are the 5 steps to adding on to what we've already talked about. Have an honest conversation with yourself. Go into your bedroom, into your bathroom, look at yourself in the mirror, and have that tough talk. Not by tearing yourself down, not with negative self-talk, but by way of empowerment. Okay? Be kind, compassionate, and forgiving with yourself. Forgive yourself. It's okay. Let bygones be bygones. Forgive, but don't forget, because we are growing. So we don't want to do the same thing over and over again. Okay? Ask for help by seeking constructive feedback from your trusted advisors. I did yesterday. Tell me what I could be doing differently. Tell me what I could be doing better. Because that's my aim, to do better than I'm already doing. Reflect on your life experiences through a lens of healing and not through a lens of repeated trauma. Let me repeat that again for you. Reflect on your life's experiences through a lens of healing and not through a lens of repeated trauma. And the very last one, and this is really fun. I actually just got mine. So explore taking a personality test. It will help you to understand what kind of person you are. I've done it, and I had a great time not only doing it, but also reading the results. Because it helps me to understand what my strengths are, my subconscious strengths are that I don't even know. And now I'm going to take that feedback and really hone in, really funnel down to strengthen just that part of my mind and my body and my soul. Explore taking a personality test. Keep it to yourself. Don't tell anybody about it. Keep it to yourself. And the next zone, and this is where we start doing a deep dive in our workshops, is accepting yourself as you are. And now you can go on the internet, let me tell you, and find a million methodologies on accepting who you are. If you want to fast track your growth and your transformation, I would love to be your champion. I would love to be your cheerleader. It would be my honor to be your support system throughout your transformation. And if you want a fast track transformation, reach out to me. Click on the link below, send me a DM. Let's get on a discovery call and chat. When we get on a discovery call, we talk about who you are today and where you want to go tomorrow and how do we get there. Just 3 things. How do we get to where, how can I help you get to where you want to go? Excuse me. Again, this is Anar, your mindset mentor and coach, and it'll be my honor to be your champion. So I look forward to connecting with you. DM me to get yourself on a discovery call. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend, and I will see you again next Friday. Bye-bye.